Assalamu alaikum everyone. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I'm not going to keep much announcements today. They're really brief. Would anyone be interested? Sincere question. Don't worry about that. I'm not concerned about that right now. Would anyone really be interested in going to? Hillel is a Jewish organization here on campus. They asked us to co-sponsor an event with them by going to a museum. I don't know exactly where the museum is. Where is it?
New York. In New York.
It's in New York. I think basically it's just about tolerance and teaching people not to hate one another and that kind of thing. No other they reached out to many other organizations, but no one really answered them except for us. Would anyone be interested? Just show of hands. Would anyone be interested in going to that?
What day?
They don't have a date yet. They just sometime in April. They didn't have a specific date yet.
In April?
In April.
Ready.
You'd be interested?
Is it going to be like a weekend or a weekday? You're not sure.
They didn't give us that much information.
I don't mind.
I'm just saying, the idea, not
Yeah,
not does the date work.
Yeah,
It's the idea. I believe it's about tolerance and about not hating one another, that kind of thing. Okay. So it seems like a decent amount of you would be interested, more than I thought actually. Okay. Without further ado, I'm not going to keep everyone too long. I'm just going to introduce Br.Nihal.
Wait. Show them the
So is that the majority of people that want to come to the Hillel? Because I could answer them.
No, it's not. It wasn't a majority, but it was. We had 1, 2, 3. We had about four brothers. How many sisters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a lot of sisters back. Okay, so I guess you could say that is majority.
What about Juma?
Oh yeah, Juma prayer. Yes, Friday it's booked. There will be a Juma prayer. Thank you for reminding me, by the way. I was meaning to send out an email. We'll be having a Juma prayer in the spirituality room. It's booked for us. That means you don't have to worry about anyone else walking in and saying and doing their prayer. No, we have the room at that time. Juma prayer. I said I have it booked from 1 to 2:30. So is that good?
Yes.
Most people start around 1 o'clock. So that's
1 o'clock. 1 to 1:10, so we'll be done.
1 to 1:10.
1:10, yeah, but in 10 minutes. Because most of the people have classes at 1 o'clock.
Okay, well, we started booked for 2:30 anyway. So, whatever you guys do, and again, we'll have a khatib and it'll be followed by the salah, and that's it. So, we have a new policy here.
I'm scared. I'm gonna have
control minds.
Control minds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have what? I don't even want to see the end.
Get the point.
Is that Kyle Smith?
That is not me.
That's a baby picture of Kyle, which is circulating on the internet. So when they went to go see The Godfather when it came out, that's what Kyle dressed up as.
My name is the first one, Kyle.
All right, so
You can make your own.
Br.Nihal, without further ado, let's go up there, man.
Yeah, I mean that.
Kill it. Yeah. And the interesting thing about this is the person who made it missed last week's meeting.
I was busy making this. What can I do? Oh yeah. You should see the back of it.
Pull that thing up.
Huh?
Pull it up. We don't need that.
Okay. I'm not gonna blabber for too long.
By the way, he's going to be speaking about ways to increase Iman and that kind of thing. And this is something that everyone can contribute because the way I might have my techniques to increase my Iman might be different from yours. So please, when we get to the time where we're discussion, please, don't feel shy to share your techniques and that kind of thing. Okay?
All right. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulih an-nabiy al-kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in amma ba'd. I just wanted to share a few techniques. Well, first we can go over some symptoms of how do we classify and categorize ourselves if we our iman is going down, and at the end of it, how do we cure that, and at the end help bring it up, and how do we basically get onto a level in which we always see our faith increasing and whatnot. So the first thing that we understand usually is that al-iman yazid wa yanqus, that iman, faith, it increases and it decreases no matter what. And it increases by a few things. Number one, it'll increase depending on the deeds we do. So if we do something good, if we do an amal or an action which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it automatically helps us, basically go up. Now, at the same time, right, if we do something, we need to come to God on His own terms, right? I don't come and say, to my boss, and be like, all right, here are my conditions of me, working for you, etc. No, the whole point is that you come with your resume, what have you done? And then the boss will decide whether or not you're going to get a promotion or get hired, right? So the first basis is that, we come to God on His terms. So when we do an action, it needs to be, number one, sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for God's sake alone. And the second thing is that it needs to be in harmony with the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Meaning, that it's something he did or that he approved of or that basically is accepted from within the masses, right? So that's the first thing. Now, everybody's a human being, right? No matter what. Everybody in this room is a human being. And the one thing that a human being has been prone to is forgetting and making mistakes. It's reported in a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that كُلُّ بَنِي آدَمْ خَطَّاء وَخَيْرُ الْخَطَّائِينَ تَوَّابُونَ. That every son of Adam, right? First of all, he said every son of Adam. He didn't say every Jew, every Christian, or every Muslim. He said every son of Adam without any shak. They're all sinners, right? And the best of sinners are those who basically repent. So every time we think about that's what it comes down to. There's not a single person who doesn't sin, right? It doesn't say that every person is either a sinner or not a sinner. It says every person is a sinner. But the best of those who sin are those who repent. So at the end, we're all sinners. SubhanAllah, right? So, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet ﷺ gave us ways in which we can interact and help ourselves get better. Now, before I go over those, what are ways that when we realize ourselves that, we need to take account of ourselves and be like, all right, I'm slipping now, right? And if in a class, you have 3 exams. If I screw up on one, I know that, all right, I have to do good on the other 2. If I screw up on the second one, be like, I better do really good on the third one, right? But I'm taking account of myself and like, all right, number 1, all right, I got to focus on this. Number 2, I got to focus on it. Number 3, I got to focus on it. Basically, it's all laid out. But we see signs that if I'm doing well in the class, I got good grades on those exams. I'm not doing well in the class if I didn't get good grades in that class on those exams. So the first thing, I'm going to be, this is just like a small book I had sitting in my house, which I thought would be really useful. I remember I bought this book. It's called Weakness of Iman, Its Signs and Cures, by Sheikh Saleh al-Munajjid. He runs the website Islam Q&A if you ever gone to it. So this was something I bought in like high school or something. So I was like, at a time in my life where I felt that I needed to learn more about my deen, I think this was really helpful. I read this book back to front. It was really good. But the first thing that the Sheikh mentions is that a sign of our iman going down is that we see ourselves constantly falling into sins. Like, not like I sin here, I sin there, but like I constantly see myself perpetually committing a sin. Whatever it may be, whether it's open, whether it's, behind closed doors, every person sees himself committing a certain sin. And, like I said, it's not about the sin itself, but it's about the one who we're sinning against, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it doesn't make a difference to Him whether we sin or not. It's for our own benefit, right? It doesn't make a difference to Him if I got up this morning for Fajr or if I didn't. It's all up to Him. It doesn't make a difference, right? That if somebody can say something bad to my face, but I can go ahead and, smile at him. So that's the first thing, that when we see ourselves falling into sin constantly, then it's a sign that we need to start addressing. Now that's like the first thing. The second thing is, right, there's the ayah in the Quran in which Allah says, كَلَّا بَلْ رَانَ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ, that the person who's constantly doing wrong, that a black dot, actually this is from a hadith as well, that a black dot appears on their heart, right? And for every sin, more black dots basically start appearing. And eventually the whole heart becomes black if the person continues to do so. But just like that sin leads to something else, and that's the number 2 point, which is that we feel that our own hearts are becoming hard and they become rough. Like we're sitting there and we just feel heavy in our chest. We feel constrained. We're like, I don't understand why this is going on. A lot of people constantly talk about not being happy, or I don't find satisfaction in my life. I'm coming to school, I'm going to the masjid, or I'm taking a class, but I just don't feel something happening in me. Maybe that person, including myself, needs to take a look at what we're doing every day. Maybe there's something I said or I'm constantly saying which is causing me to feel this way. Maybe there's something I've already done and a person's holding a grudge against me and I don't even know. Right? Sometimes we say things and we have no idea like what we said and it ticks a person off. Right? Everybody's in that position. Right? It also comes in a hadith that like in a person's grave, a gate of heaven and a window of heaven and a window of hell is going to be opened up for them. So for one person, they're going to be shown heaven, and the angels will say that would have been your place, but because you did X, Y, and Z, now you're going to go to heaven. You're going to go to hell. But then another person, on the contrary, is going to have the window of hell opened up for him. He's going to look over and he's basically going to be told that you were supposed to go here, but because you did X, Y, and Z, you're going to go into Jannah. So, we need to constantly be in, we need to constantly be looking at our own actions and seeing what we're doing, right? So that was the second thing that they mentioned. And one thing which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically said about hypocrites. And actually, I'll bring this point in, right? We're talking about Iman, right? What's the first thing after Surah Fatiha Allah says? Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ, right? So Allah basically said that the muttaqeen are those who have taqwa, who fear God. But now He wants to specifically outline who are those that have faith and they have God consciousness within them. So the first people who Allah mentions is those who have Iman. And then He even highlights it more, who has Iman. يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, that they believe in that which they don't see. Right? We're in a society where everybody wants to see what's happening, right? I'm not going to believe in God because I need to see Him. All right, well, you breathe air. You don't see air either. Why don't you not believe in air either? But, that's a whole different discussion. But we're in a society which, everything needs to be tangible. And people forget that, we may have minds, but we also have hearts, right? Everybody wants to prove something, saying, okay, I need to intellectually prove X, Y, and Z happens. I need to intellectually prove that God created the universe and it wasn't, just out of nowhere. But people forget like the most basic things. You have your mind, but did you forget you have a heart too? God gave us two of these things so that we can use them together. And that's the way where we start discovering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the way where things start falling into place, right? But about people who don't have true faith, God Himself said, ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ أَوْ أَشَدُّ قَسْوَةً. So Allah's talking about a group of people who claimed belief, but it wasn't really in their heart. Now, this is a scenario of basically a heart which has any type of faith extracted from it. Like it's devoid of any type of Iman whatsoever, So, God's basically telling us that the scenario of these people, the situation of their hearts, is such that it's like a rock, right? Or it's even worse than that. Like, you take a rock, you throw it against the wall, it's not going to do anything to the rock. It'll pierce through the wall. It's sheetrock, throw it, that's what's going to happen. If you throw it against a car, it'll make a dent. If you throw it on a window, the window's going to crack. That's how hard a rock is. So now imagine Allah is telling us...
That's how hard the wall is, though.
Huh?
That's how hard that wall is, though.
Well, this is sheetrock. So, unless it's concrete. But even then, it depends which one's harder. But thanks for destroying my point. Okay.
I'm just trying to keep light now.
I know. I hear you.
Go ahead.
It's not March yet. What's with the green shirt?
That's the most important issue that needs a lot of attention.
Yeah. So, everybody's constantly thinking about it, right? It's like, why do I feel this way, right? You see, and I'm not even I haven't even began addressing the way to go about it, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing which we look at is we see our own selves not doing acts of worship properly, right? The Prophet ﷺ said that Inna Allah Ta'ala yuhibbu idha amila ahadukum amalan an yutqina. That indeed God loves that whatever actions you do them to the best, thorough way possible. So like, if I, people would rather have somebody do something fully and do it a little bit than have them do a lot and not do it properly, right? Like the best actions are which ones? The ones we do consistently, but they're little, right? If we just constantly keep doing them, then things get done that way, right? For just, like an example for me, I have this like little booklet I've been trying to create for like, I don't know, like 2 years. But like, I'm like one of those people who's like, I'm going to sit down for like 8 hours straight and I'm going to do it. I've been telling myself that since 2010 now. It still hasn't been done. But like, if I sat there and I did an hour a day, a lot more would have gotten done, right? Just like that.
Or you could look at like another simple example
Yeah.
for anyone who exercises. You get some of these people who are, they're really passionate about starting for the first time. And they'll go to the gym and they'll go for 3 hours straight, kill themselves. You get a trainer maybe, and then they don't come back. But as opposed to a person who maybe go for like 45 minutes straight, like every so amount of times a week, consistently, it's much better.
Yeah, very true. That's very true. That's actually one thing our instructor also says, that he's like, these people just like, like get on to like they eat Cliff Bars for like 3 weeks straight and nothing else. Or like they eat only boiled eggs. But then after that they have this crazy, lapse back in which they're eating like Philly cheesesteaks and having bad breakfast. So, it's a principle of life that when we do something, we do a little bit, but we do it a lot we do it over a period of time. So that's one thing. And like I was saying, not doing our acts of worship properly. Like when I'm making dua, like I'm saying Ya Allah, but I'm like thinking about Jeremy Lin last night or something like that. How he just completely killed.
Nothing wrong with Jeremy Lin.
Huh?
Nothing wrong with Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
But when I'm making dua, I don't need to be thinking about him.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, that was a
absolutely
hell of a game last night.
Make dua, he becomes Muslim.
Inshallah, yeah.
This is very important
Yeah.
because this is the most difficult issue that
Yeah.
whenever I try to explain it, it's like in Quran there is an incident which is shown that some people came and said that we have brought Iman.
Mm-hmm.
And Allah says that tell them that they have not brought Iman, but they just accepted Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And even Sahaba used to say that ta'allamna al-iman, thumma ta'allamna al-Quran. That first we learn Iman and then we learn Quran. And that's the delicacy I cannot explain really well.
No, you're making a good point, right?
And there is, let me explain.
No. So he's basically saying, right, that there's a difference between a mu'min and a Muslim, right? Somebody can say that it's like, all right, fine, I'm a Muslim. But how many people say they're Muslim, but they don't pray 5 times a day, or they don't, you only see them on Eid, or they only come out when they need something, right? So that's like, just like that, in that specific ayah Brother Gul's talking about, Allah says that you may have brought Islam, but you haven't brought your Iman yet. There's a difference between both those two things, which gets really delicate. But yeah, like I was saying, right, we find ourselves in salah, like we can't focus. We see that, like I'm making dua, and like, I'm trying to concentrate on my dua. It's a relationship between myself and God, straight up. So there should be nobody else, nothing involved in between there. But even then, my mind keeps wandering, right? So like, those are all symptoms of having weak iman. So those are just some, right? So I don't want to like bore everybody with keep saying, this is a symptom, that's a symptom. But now, how do we address it, right? How do we go about saying, if that's what makes my iman weak, then what's going to help me? So the Shaykh in this book, basically he said, he mentions a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said that iman wears out in the heart of any one of you just as clothes wear out, right? So if I wear a shirt or a pair of pants or something, or a kufi for God knows how long, for 10 years, right? It's going to keep wearing out. Like, I was just looking at this thobe I had, sitting in my wardrobe, and I was just like, wow, I've had this thing for 6 years. Like, it doesn't feel like it. But like, I'm looking at it, like the buttons are falling off, and it's got like a ripped cuff and stuff like that. So it gets basically worn out. But the difference between clothes and iman is that you can possibly sew a cloth together, but it's not going to be the same as it was new. With iman, we can constantly refresh it by saying La ilaha illallah. We can constantly refresh it by coming back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are various ways. But the first way the Shaykh mentioned is, who can guess actually? Anybody?
So it's not dhikr.
Hmm?
It's not dhikr, right?
Sort of. You're on the right point.
We're doing the intentions.
Salah. Okay, closer. Nomani? No. Huh?
So let's play hot or cold.
Alright, no, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Number one was to ponder over the Quran and its meanings. You know, everything comes back to that. Right? Whether it's fiqh, aqidah, whether it's usul al-fiqh, or any other crazy, minutiae subject of our religion, it all comes where? From the Quran. Right? That's where it comes down to at the end. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that to ponder over the Quran and what, is it that we're trying to get out of it. So if that's the case, then it's really, we really need to build our own connection with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? We need to say that, all right, I need to come to this book with no bias. I need to come to this book saying that I don't get it. Ya Allah, it's to you. I'm here to shun my ego and you give me whatever you need to give me and I'll take it. That's the attitude we're supposed to come with, and then we'll leave with something. There is a scholar, actually. I can't remember his name from the top of my head, but he said that the person who wants to seek knowledge, right? If I want to go out and I want to seek knowledge about something, knowledge will not come to me even like a little bit until I give my full 100% to it. And even when I do give my full 100% to it, only a little bit will trickle down into me. That's the nature of it. So once I give myself to Allah and saying, all right, God, I don't know what's going on. The first thing you told me was, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, that those who have true faith are those who believe in what they don't see. All right, I'll take that and I'll run with it. Because only, my intellect can only go so far. My intellect, I know everybody's doing a PhD in the world in every subject possible. But yet ignorance is still on the rise. So it doesn't make a difference. It's a matter of the heart at the end of the day. But the first thing we need to do is that we need to ponder over the Quran. And like when I say ponder, it's not like you just sit down and think about Alif Lam Mim all day long. It's you seeing God's signs in everything around you, right? Allah said, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. That indeed in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and in the rotations of the sun and the moon, that there are signs for those who think and they ponder and they use their minds. Right? When was the last time we just looked like, we live in Jersey, there's nothing to see out there. It's like in Jersey, dirty as heck, got like factories out there, but, Newark. All right. But like, okay, when we start getting out of Jersey a little bit, you just drive like an hour north to like upstate New York, like you just see the beauty. Like there's this, I can't remember the name of the place, but we went up to this mountain. It was 800 feet above sea level. It was beautiful. Like we're looking down and there's like trees. It's full green. It's like the middle of like May or something like that. So we went hiking. And you see the trees and there are hawks flying underneath us. Like it was just beautiful. But like stuff like that makes us think. It's like, this beauty didn't just come out of nowhere. It was actually created by somebody. Beauty, when we talk about a random act happening, right? If I just throw something across the room, right? And there's like a chemical substance in it, and there are paper clips mixed in it, do I expect there to come out like a Bugatti to like spring out of nowhere? No, because the creation of something, especially the heavens and the earth, has to be made by somebody, right? So now Allah basically says that you're supposed to ponder upon that. You're supposed to think about the creation of the heavens and the earth. And it's for those who think, right? Then he goes on, الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. Basically, those who ponder, those who use their heads, God says that they do this all the time. He says that they do it standing, they do it sitting, and they do it lying down. So he basically says that they do this all the time. And then what do they say? رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. That, oh God, you created this for a reason, and it wasn't in vain. So when we just see the beauty of these things, right? When we just see the beauty of what God created in front of us versus what we created. Because that's what we're always seeing. People are like, all right, I got the new iPhone, we got the new Android, we got, a new car. It's all created by man. But did we learn to even stop and appreciate and see what God created for us? It's the last ayah of Surah Al-Mulk. قُلْ أَرَأَيْتُمْ إِنْ أَصْبَحَ مَاؤُكُمْ غَوْرًا. That if all the water of the world was to sink into the depths of the earth, all the fresh water, right? We can't drink the salt water necessarily without desalting it. But let's say we can't even desalt it. So let's say all of that happens, right? What happens and who's going to give you water? Who's going it come from? Except one person or one being, God Himself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But yeah, that's the first thing, is that we ponder over what the Quran basically tells us, and then we go with it. And the second thing, which I'll end here, is us trying to get an understanding of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our lives, right? It's reported in a hadith where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically, after the day of judgment, after the world's basically been destroyed and the people their souls have been resurrected and whatnot, that Allah will say to the angels, like, who remains? So then the angels will say it is Jibreel, it's Israfil, and it's Malikul Maut. And basically Allah will then command, saying that let all of you die. Let Jibreel die, let Israfil die, and let the angel of death die. Then after that, Allah will proclaim, saying that I am Allah, I am the King of all kings. And this is after He rolls up the heavens and the earth and there's nothing remaining. So then He'll call out, saying that I am the King of kings. So where are your rulers? Where are your tyrants? Where are your oppressors? Nobody's going to be there, because we at the end realize it's all God who's going to be taking care of us. But the number one way, which we have mentioned, was pondering over the Quran. But the most powerful way and the most effective way is that we realize that God controls every aspect of our lives. If we're going through an issue, right? I don't know, somebody got student aid cut or something, right? If we're going through issues, there has to be a reason happening behind it, right? There has to be, for some reason, one way or another, that God is making this happen, right? And people want to always say that, well, there's no God because bad things happen to me. It's like, well, buddy, we're not in heaven. We're not in the utopia yet. If this was the utopia, then yes, there would probably be no problems here. Well, absolutely, there would be no problems here. But if you constantly keep seeing this world as something which has no struggles, which has no problems, then you're lost. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. You need to go ahead and look ahead, right? Allah says about Jannah, about paradise, وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى, that what He has reserved for us in the hereafter, it's better and it's much longer lasting. So that's what it comes down to. And having faith in Him is an everyday struggle, including for myself, including for everybody. Whether it's through listening to music, whether it's through looking at things which we're not supposed to look at, whether it's through interacting with people in a way which could be better. Every single way, Allah gives us a chance to raise our Iman and to come closer to Him. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who try their best to get closer to Him, no matter if they succeed or not, but nonetheless make us of those who try and do succeed.
May I add a comment?
Yeah. Please.
There is a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that is jaddidu imanakum.
Yeah.
Sahaba asked that kayfa nujaddidu imanan. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered that.
Sure.
They aksari la ilaha illallah.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, and la ilaha illallah means alhamdulillah, we have Arabs here. So, as we may consider that just to say la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Actually, the giving of dawah of la ilaha illallah, and according to some scholars, even the increase of Iman never occurs without starting giving dawah of this kalima la ilaha illallah. And what are the demands of this dawah? So if we want to increase our Iman, we need to give dawah of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the and there were certainly halaqas of dawah in Masjid al-Nabawi in the life of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That one Sahabi used to ask another, "Ijlis ma'ana tu'min billah," something like that. You would say that, come here, yes, let's sit down for a while and bring Iman. So, and even one Sahabi came and complained about that Sahabi to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that this Sahabi usually asks us to sit and bring Iman. We are Muslim. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam even said, the meaning of that is like that that person really likes the halaqah of dawah. So if we want to increase, and the Iman is the thing that will, whatever you mentioned, to protect ourselves from bad deeds and follow the good deeds, these will all be controlled on according to our Iman.
Right.
So the Iman increases with the dawah of La ilaha illallah, and the dawah of the dawah of La ilaha illallah is what? To describe and say the greatness of Allah, as you said, the greatness of Allah, and see it and tell it to others. And even this is even psychologically it is proved that whatever words we speak out of our tongues, that has effect on us and on the others. So that's why if we do it, so, and in Quran there is no the Iman yankus or that increases or decreases, but in Quran there is it increases. Only the mention of increases there in Quran, and so we should be considering Iman as increasing all the time, and this will occur only when we give dawah. So that's very important.
So anyone, like, please, if you feel, I think it's very beneficial to maybe share some experiences of when you noticed your Iman decreases and what you've done to bring it back up. I think that would be very beneficial. You had your hand up?
Yeah. I just want to say Jazakallah khair Br.Nihal, first of all. Second of all, and the scholars like Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, and others, when they speak of Iman, they say that Iman's articles are more of an intellectual journey, Iman's articles, whereas Islam's articles are action-oriented. So you act and you are Muslim, and then you know Allah, and you know His Prophet, and you know His messengers, you know His angels, and you know Qada and Qadar. See that as intellectually oriented. You know this, then your Iman increases. And Ibn Qayyim defines Iman as هو الإصرار بالقلب والنطق باللسان والعمل بالجوارح. And he says something amazing. What he says basically, when you are on this trip towards Iman, like Brother Gould was saying, it begins with an action-oriented journey through Islam. So you pray, and you fast, and you give zakat, and you go to Hajj, and then through that, La ilaha illallah actualizes. La ilaha illallah is the first pillar because it is the goal. The goal through all these pillars is that La ilaha illallah actualizes. You only see Allah after you continuously pray, and after you do that. After you do all of these actions, guess what happens? Something called al-israru bil-qalb. Your qalb, your heart insists.
Serenity.
It insists. Israr. Meaning al-israr, meaning it insists. You want to do something, but your Iman insists. No, don't do that. No, it insists. Al-israr bil-qalb. Why? Because, like the brother was saying, your words and your actions, the action-oriented trip that was called Islam, it trained the heart. It needs to be an external training. After that, then after all the training, you start to see, oh, there's knowledge now. There's Allah. There are the angels. I know now, when Br.Nihal said Bismillah, the angels, they came down and they circled this room. I know now. I know that when he talks, subhanallah. And then you start to know more. And then your qalb will insist. It will say, don't do that. Al-israr bil-qalb. After it insists, when the hardship comes, your tongue will only say what is right. And your limbs will only move correctly, subhanallah. It will be a correct movement, a mu'min movement. قالت الأعراب آمنا. No, you didn't إِؤْمِن yet. You're not at the level of Iman yet. قولوا أسلمنا first. Submit first. So it is a submission. And submission comes through action. After a series of actions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will instill that in your heart, and then it'll be that extra push. And they say that taqwa is the engine, like Shaykh Islam Fayyumi has taught us, is the engine that generates Islam. Why? Because what is taqwa? It is if'al wa la taf'al. It is to do and not to do and avoid. So once you train yourself towards that, then notice how you alluded to this when you said هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ مَنْ هُمُ الْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ. So subhanAllah, it's as if taqwa is the jump start, and after much taqwa of actions, then Allah gives you the extra push of Iman. And then the hardship comes and your tongue only says what you should say and your limbs only move. And after you continuously do that, where your hands only move and your tongue only says what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to be said and wants to be committed and acted upon, subhanAllah, then you reach ihsan. Then you can only see Allah, because you have only acted in accordance to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. So, wallahu ta'ala alam, I think, wallahu alam, we tend to, because it is a spiritual and amazing idea, we tend to focus on Iman and we forget that a lot of times we haven't really excelled in terms of Islam yet. There's a lot of submission that needs to be acted upon, meaning that you take that and you say, am I Muslim? هل أسلمت لله? Did you put that before? SubhanAllah, and you all know the hadith of when Jibreel he came to Muhammad ﷺ, and even the sitting is symbolic of Islam, because the Sahaba did not ask, they did not question until after. They asked questions later. They just acted. SubhanAllah, do you see that? So I think we need to act a lot more. We, all of us, and I'm the first. وَأَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ أَنْ أُذَكِّرَ بِاللَّهِ ثُمَّ أَنْسَاهُ. I seek refuge in Allah that I remind others of Allah and then I forget within myself. ولكن والله تعالى أعلم, if we act more, subhanallah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will instill the Iman, which is a light. Iman is a light. And Imam Malik used to say, I realized that the Iman in Allah is not from factual information that one can record and memorize. However, I realized that Iman is a light in the heart that comes after submission. And also, finally, I just want to say this, inshallah. Malik ibn Dinar, he also used to say, he said, ذهبت من الحياة ولم تذوقوا أطيب ما فيها ألا وهي حلاوة الإيمان. He used to say, subhanallah, you have left life. He used to say to those who used to be buried and it was known of them, some bad habits, he used to say to them, ذهبت من الحياة, you have left life. Subhanallah, and may Allah save us from that. He says, ذهبت من الحياة, you have left life. And you did not even get to taste the sweetest part of it. And that sweetness is the sweetness in Iman. It has a sweetness. It's very sweet, wallahi. And inshallah, those of you who have experienced that, you know that there is a sweetness that you feel. Your heart is no longer inside, a bodily, place. It is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Any sisters? Any comments?
Did you have your hand up? I know it's not up now, but go ahead.
As you know, like 3 ways that I boost my Iman. First of all, reading the Quran and reading the translation. You just become more educated and minded and everything. And fasting, because when you're hungry the whole day, you can't think about anything but like when you're hungry, it reminds you, okay, keeps on reminding you. And then what's the third one?
Can I come back to?
Yeah.
No, she made a good point. Even like for me, if I 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, like without reading Quran, I'm like I feel like hitting somebody. So stay away from me. Anybody else?
I feel like it's a natural thing when, Iman goes up and down. As long as it's like, going up and down this way kind of thing. Usually when I have those situations, first I recognize it, and that's the important thing. But I think that, what helps me out more is when I remember death. Like, just the remembrance of death, that, like, it reminds you, it kind of gets to you, like, this is your purpose of life, and this is, don't take this dunya as something that, like, sometimes I forget that I will one day die, and I don't know, I'm just speaking for myself, but,
It's something you have to experience.
What?
I'm saying it's something you don't experience on a daily basis.
Yeah, or like just imagine yourself dying that moment, How would you answer Allah? How would you answer the angels' questions,
I mean, those are the perks of our own society, because they, it's like, oh, you're young, just keep living, do whatever you gotta do. It's like, all right, you can do whatever you gotta do when you get older, if you want to become a better person. And like, that's actually something important, because even like in the most hated class, which I'm taking right now, business calc, right? We always talk about like business chart, that like, up and down is like alright, but when it goes extremely down, it's a straight line, or even when it's just like an equilibrium, where it's just the breaking point, the breaking point's not like, you don't want to stay there, you want to get out from there and start going up as soon as possible. But you at least want to be like, have this squiggly line, yeah.
And what happens when
Go ahead.
what happens when our Iman does go down
drastically or like to a point where bringing it back up is much harder, what do you do then?
It's
I was gonna say, like, you know that dua, like, like, O turner of hearts, keep me steadfast in your religion. I find it a very beautiful dua because, you know, there can be people who have been practicing for 40 years, or, you know, their iman has been, like, you know, excellent for 40 years, but then, like, right when they die, you know, everything just, you know, screws over and they, you know, commit kufr or something like that. So I feel like that dua really helps a lot.
I think also
Like, what?
Toba's always there. Like I remember there was like time's up, but whatever.
You
but,
keep going a little bit.
but like I remember there was a time in my life where like I just like hit like an all-time low, you know. And once you hit low, the only way you can go is up. Once you hit rock bottom, you can't go anywhere except up. You can't get lower than that. So I mean, for me, it's like, you know, I had a close friend and I spoke to him. I'm like, yo, it's like if something doesn't feel right, and you know. That's where having good companionship helps, because you know your friend is supposed to be there to get you out of the dirt you get yourself into sometimes. Yeah, you know, having good friends is important, but like the way I saw it is that when I came out of it, and after like I look back even till now, it's like, you know, if it wasn't for some of those friends I had, you know, I'd be in a completely different place. And it was weird because it's also important. Actually, it goes both ways. The good friends we have, you know, they'll help us get better. But the friends we have who always insult us or who always put us down, and if you're one of those people, you have no idea sometimes the psychological torture you're doing to the other person. And they may not say it, right? Like for guys, like I think it's really important that, you know, we always, you know, hate on each other, beat each other up, this and that. But sometimes it's mutual, right? And a lot of times it's mutual, like it's cool. But there are points where like the person doesn't feel comfortable with the way you're talking to them or the way you're treating them. Now, sometimes a person's bullied into a corner and they're like, all right, let's go along with it. Don't do that. Get up and be like, I don't like what you're doing right now. Stop it. Or else it really does put that person into a really, really, really low psychological state, which really messes up their iman as well. So I think the best thing is finding good friends and sticking to them, and any people who aren't benefiting, let go of them.
And I would give another suggestion, that finding such companies where like this kind of event or some other kind of events which are a source of increase in iman. Like there is an incident of that one Sahabi said that I became munafiq,
Yeah.
I became munafiq, and then we encountered Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, and then they go to Rasulullah. Then when we are in your presence, we look at Jannah and Jahannam, and when we go home and get involved in the households, then we don't have that kind of situation in our heart.
Right.
So Rasulullah said that it comes with slowly, but it was mentioned that this is also, the increase of iman is also associated with the good company. And even there is an ayat in the Quran, فَادْخُلِي فِي عِبَادِي فَادْخُلِي جَنَّتِي. Go into the company of my people and into paradise. So the company is also...
It's pretty cool though, like, because we can talk about, you know, like if you study Aqidah, you study fiqh, you study other subjects, there's a limit you reach. With Iman, you can just keep going on and never stop.
Yeah, it's really important.
But
We can go arrange for the next Wednesday. We can also talk about this issue.
Inshallah, we already have something planned, but we could address it again in the future.
Somebody had their hand raised?
This is Khadija.
So what do you advise to a person like me who really struggles with Iman, but I know what my particular issue is? Like, I'm a music lover, I love...
Okay, stop there. Everybody has their things. Everybody. It's not just you. It's me, believe it or not. It's him, believe it or not. Everybody has their issue. You know, it's just struggling with it, whether it's whatever it is, you know. It's just, you know, the whole point of us, you know, going through the trial is that it's supposed to bring us out as stronger people. It's hard to let go of things, you know. It really is. Whether that person's addicted to drugs, you know, that person can be shooting up heroin every day. But the moment he puts it down and his withdrawal symptoms start and he has somebody to help him out in rehab, then he starts getting better. But yeah, he's gonna feel a little bit of pain. But you know, it's about making the first move of how am I gonna get better. If it's that I have friends who who don't do good things around me, my first step is I move away from them. You know, if it's if it's music, like I remember for me, like the type of stuff I used to listen to wasn't good. So I just started, getting myself off of it, weaning yourself off, whatever it is. You need to find that niche and start weaning yourself off of it, or just getting away from it completely. Like, don't think it's just me. It's everybody. Everybody has it. Not everybody's gonna talk about it, but everybody has that issue.
I would suggest that as we being the ummati of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, until and unless we do not think of the iman of others, that how they be mindful of their iman, and we are concerned about their iman, our iman is not going to increase anyway. Yeah. And these are and the dawah of those things that you are not doing will bring you a kind of like if I'm not doing praying tahajjud and I give dawah of the tahajjud, so it will bring humbleness in my heart. So the giving a dawah of this and be mindful of others and pray and this these are the things that will inshallah help.
If nobody has anything else, I'll just end off on this. Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that if the first revelation was not to commit zina, then nobody would stop committing zina. If the first revelation was to stop drinking alcohol, then nobody would stop drinking alcohol. So if we inculcate within ourselves the love of God and His Messenger, then we see everything becomes easy there because we've already laid a new foundation, right? Versus working on an already slippery slope. If you build the new foundation and build upon it, it helps a lot more. So hopefully that helps.